Yesterday was Super Tuesday, where 16 states and one territory got together and held an intervention for Nikki Haley.
Ah, yes. Bye-bye, Nikki, bye-bye. She's moving on now, whatever her next adventure may be. But she did win Vermont. So did Bernie Sanders. And he honeymooned in the Soviet Union. And it's an open primary in Vermont where Bernie Sanders voters can go in and vote for Nikki Haley to monkey wrench the system. And every leftist is corrupt, as we know. There are no leftists that are not corrupt. And they run the Democrat Party. Big cities, small hamlets, the White House, the Senate. They call themselves the Democratic Party, even though they're not. Oh, they're a party, all right, in the hot tub and the black light. Keep that away from there, but we got another thing going on. So it was Super Tuesday today, and today is very special Wednesday, very special Wednesday. And that means, what's going on today? What do you think? All kinds of things going on. Well, the Clinton household, Hillary Clinton waking up face down in a pool of her own dried vomit. It's a Wednesday on their linoleum floor with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay laying next to her, and the Secret Service standing over. Tisk, tisk. Once again, how sad what might have been. I did see a story. There was a story kind of creeping around late last week that Hillary Clinton is lurking behind the curtain with a dagger, waiting for Joe Biden to be pulled out by the Democrats, and she will graciously agree to step in because she's needed. And that's about the only way they can bump Kamala Harris out of the way. She's a WOC, she's a woman of color, and Democrats can't, they can do all kinds of terrible things to women of color, of course, and Bill Clinton certainly did, Hillary's husband and all that stuff. See, long list of people that he abused, but never mind that. Hillary Clinton lurking in the shadows with a poison dagger waiting for Joe Biden to fall. I've been talking about it all along, and don't rule it out because she's a crazy woman, and to say that she's ambitious would be a poor utilization of the word ambitious. But there's a lot of crazy going on. Joe Biden, he did the sweep of the Democrats, although he lost American Samoa. He did lose American Samoa to someone that nobody ever heard of. Seems like a nice person. He lives in Baltimore. The guy that won American Samoa is a Democrat. He's a white guy, racists that the Democrats are. And in American Samoa, this guy that nobody ever heard of won. He won American Samoa for the Democrats, and he's never been there. He's never been there. According to all reports, never been there. Lives in Baltimore. What the hell? American Samoa, they've got a good sense of humor. Last time around, Michael Bloomberg won and how many people voted, Michael? 91 people voted. A total of 91 votes for the Democrats, and they split it up. It's a pretty funny story, actually. It's a lot of fun. And this guy that ran, he's on the ballot. I guess he was on the ballot in 6 states for the for the Democrat Party, and it's pretty funny. It's a pretty funny story. I'll share that with you because this guy, he's probably got a good sense of humor. He's apparently been very successful in business, and he likes to amuse himself. So he started running for president, and funny stuff. We were sharing that last night. There's a lot of stuff out of yesterday in California. They had this open primary. I talked about it yesterday for the U.S. Senate seat that's being vacated by Senator Dianne Feinstein, who had a Chinese spy on her staff for 20 years in her San Francisco office. No problem. At least as far as we know, she didn't have a long-time sexual affair with him like Eric Swalwell did with Fang Fang. And Fang Fang, the Chinese intelligence operative in the United States, advanced Eric Swalwell's career from a local city council to the House of Representatives and the Intelligence Committee, which is really good for Chinese communist intelligence. Not good for the United States or the world, but when it comes to Chinese communist intelligence, well, that was a real coup for Fang Fang. Fang's going to be riding that one forever. Amazing stuff. But in California, Adam Schiff, who spent enormous sums of money on an exhaustive television campaign. Now, again, they had, Katie Porter and who was it? Barbara Lee. And then they had Adam Schiff, the biggest liar in Washington, D.C. Wow. That's like, second man on the moon. That's pretty incredible stuff. And Steve Garvey, the baseball player. And they won. Steve Garvey, only the top two, and it's this open primary. The top two vote getters end up on the ballot in November. And now it's Steve Garvey versus the inchworm, Adam Schiff. And California, if they send Adam Schiff to Washington to serve in the United States Senate after being such a disgrace to the House of Representatives, then California should probably be sawed off of the continent and pushed out to sea. And statehood should be taken away. That's pretty amazing stuff. But California Senate race, Adam Schiff, ad strategy paid off, spending tens of millions of dollars. He'll face GOP ex-baseball star Steve Garvey in November. See, that's in November. The news media is excited about this because you can't get, a Republican elected. An almost certain win for Schiff, the news media reports. That's the radical left-wing extremists at Politico, a front group for Vladimir Putin. That's the Politico people. Amazing stuff. So the media has already declared Adam Schiff the winner and a member of the United States Senate, because why would Steve Garvey go to the Senate when you got Adam Schiff? Come on. Nobody lies like this guy in a field of liars like nobody's ever seen before, as President Trump would say. The new world has never seen a liar like Adam. It's almost true, though, in this case. So we've got Super Tuesday on this very excellent Wednesday to update you. And also I want to update you on the VJ Day Times Square photo and the Veterans Administration and the lies that fact checkers tell you, like Snopes, which is just a joke. They're not fact checkers at all. They are, I'll keep it clean, bootlicks for the Democrat Party at Snopes. They're not fact checkers at all. Kind of like Glenn Kessler and the fake fact checkers at the Washington Post. You know, when you can win over the fact checkers, and the Democrat Party has, then the lies will never end, and you get away with all of them. Pretty amazing stuff. Also, I've got a couple stories about Virginia. Buddha Biberaj, you remember her? George Soros, radical anti-American extremist, just an anti-American nutcase, and a Soros-funded leftist, not a liberal, a leftist, a radical from the Bronx, New York, who came to Loudoun County, Virginia to destroy, and did a pretty good job. Turns out that she ordered the destruction of portraits of the previous Commonwealth attorneys. They're all taken away, boxes and things hanging on the walls, and she ordered everything destroyed. And so, because that's what the left does, and there were people who wanted to keep the portraits, and she wanted to tear them down. I think there were good people on both sides, but it turns out this Soros radical, Buddha Biberaj, had all of these portraits destroyed of Commonwealth attorneys because she's an extremist, hater, an anti-American radical, and a perfectly mainstream Democrat, funded by the America-hating crook, George Soros, and now his son, 25 years old, and or is that just $25 billion? And he's dating Humma Weiner. Last time we looked, George Soros' son dating Humma Weiner. I think we know why. Self-explanatory, but never mind that. So we got that, and boy, that's an amazing story. And it goes with another story, destroying the portraits, the history of Loudoun County being destroyed by the George Soros radical that Democrats gleefully voted for because they love destroying things, and carjacking, and crime, and shooting people. The Democrats. No Democrats, less crime. More Democrats, more crime. More Democrats, more carjacking. It's a whole thing. Now, speaking of Virginia, got another story out of Virginia about the University of Virginia, because the University of Virginia has, founded by Thomas Jefferson. They spend $20 million a year on their diversity, equity, and inclusion staff at the University of Virginia. And wait till I tell you how much money these people make. They've got 235 DEI employees. They spend $20 million on DEI employees. Guilty white morons. It's GWM. The top DEI official makes $587,000 a year. $587,340 a year. DEI, University of Virginia. It's a part-time job, right? I mean, what is up with that? And they got 235 employees. So it's like he's the head of a corporation of left-wing racists who implement racist policies because they're racists, and the Democrat Party's trying to, make up. They're lefties. They're trying to make up and apologize because the Democrats were the party of slavery in the Confederate States of America that created the KKK and gave us Jim Crow laws and stood in schoolhouse doors. So now Democrats are trying to make up for their own history, but because they're leftists, they, of course, do it with other people's money. They assuage their own white liberal guilt, but they do it with other people's money because they're not liberals, they're leftists. Pretty amazing stuff. So crazy news out of Virginia that I want to share with you. Okay. Also, I can update you on the Virginia man arrested after attempted carjacking and home invasion with a chainsaw. Mr. Chainsaw marauding around in Stafford County, Virginia. Pretty crazy. And I've got an update for you on that. Crazy, crazy, crazy. President Trump last night, of course, he spoke from Mar-a-Lago. He didn't even wait for the end of everything, but he came out and spoke, and he said a lot of things that angered the radical lefties. And you got like Joy Reid on MSDNC, who wears that Donald Trump wig, which is really weird, coming out and calling everybody racist and then sending a check to Planned Parenthood because they're mentally ill. They exterminate 40% of the black population in the womb. They create the school-to-prison pipeline. They destroyed the black nuclear family. And they're the party of the Confederacy, the Klan, and Jim Crow. And they go around calling everybody racist. Pretty amazing stuff. And they had Rachel Maddow on. Is she a man? And could you say she, if a man? Well, with Democrats, you can go both ways, just like they do. But that's we got a Kristen Sinema update too. Speaking of which, she finally found a three-way she doesn't want anything to do with. That's coming up too. But they had Rachel Maddow on, and she dumped out of the Trump speech from Mar-a-Lago last night because of hatred and mental illness, which is perfectly normal at MSNBC. They pay millions of dollars, $30 million a year to Rachel Maddow, reportedly for doing one show a week and then coming out to dump out of the Trump speech. And she's saying Deutschland über alles, which I thought was a little bit weird, but in keeping. Amazing stuff. So we've got Super Tuesday and all kind of, it's MAGA-Nificent Wednesday, I think. It's MAGA-Nificent Wednesday? It is. It's my friend Susan. MAGA-Nificent Wednesday. And we got that going. Also, we learned President Trump mentioned last night, and the news media doesn't care, Joe Biden and the Biden administration, they've been secretly flying in illegal aliens to dozens of cities across America from hellhole countries. They won't even tell us what countries, but they're putting people on flights into the United States. 320,000 illegal aliens didn't have to cross our border because Biden's flying them into the United States and keeping it a secret. You might begin to believe that they're not on our side. I think it's about the fundamental transformation of America. And Obama told us we all better learn to speak Spanish. We should also get gang tattoos because that'll help us fit in as well. Speak Spanish, get some Venezuelan prison gang tattoos because more Democrats, more murder. Amazing stuff. Yeah, these parole flights, they're called. Joe Biden might as well be Nicolas Maduro or Raul Castro. He knows they're waving prisoners in here, and he still hasn't said Laken Riley's name. State of the Union tomorrow night. Will Joe Biden talk about Lake and Riley? I think maybe one quick throwaway. He might murmur his way through it and then fall down on the ground next to the podium. Remarkable stuff. So Nikki Haley is out. Donald Trump is in. Joe Biden sweeping the Democrat thing except for American Samoa. And I want to go and I want to hang out with those 91 people in American Samoa that voted, because they sound like they're pretty funny, actually. They're having a good time. We are at 888-630-9625. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Visit chrisplantcruise.com. Okay. Yeah, we got Sesame Street. The Democrats have corrupted Sesame Street. Not amusing Frank Oz, one of the founding fathers of, Cookie Monster, all that stuff. So we got that. And Joe Biden has a new plan of attack, and that's to attack Donald Trump. Surprise, surprise, to try to anger him by throwing insane accusations at him, hoping that he'll lash out and go overboard. This is their new plan. That's your Democrat Party. All right, let's take a phone call, Michael. Let's go to Mark calling from Winchester, Virginia. Marcus, you're on the Chris Plant Show. Mark.
Hi, Chris, this is Mark from Winchester. How you doing?
Very well, very well. Are you skydiving?
No, I'm in my computer truck. I just stopped so I could talk to you. How's that?
Excellent, excellent.
And I tell you the truth, every time I'm traveling somewhere or going somewhere, the first thing I do this time of day is hunt down the radio station so I can find to listen to Chris Plant.
That is excellent.
You're in the top 3 or 4 of all this business.
3 or 4? Well, okay, I'll take that.
Well, maybe top 3 now. You're in the top 3, and you lead the list of me looking for somebody. I always look for Levin. I always used to look for Hannity, but the Salem News Record doesn't have him anymore. So
yeah,
every morning I listen to you.
Very good, very good. So how can I help you today?
The first question is, what primary did President Trump lose last night?
Vermont.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's Bernie Sanders land, and they have an open primary that so Democrats can go in and vote in the Republican ballot and vote for Nikki Haley in Vermont. And they vote Bernie Sanders in again and again, who honeymooned in the Soviet Union. So what do you want from them?
My other question is, the big question is, on January 6th, when it did happen, that when it was going on...
We've run out the clock on you. Bam, 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 bam. Hey, Mark, I'm sorry the clock ran out. It's one of those things that you don't have control over, but my apologies. And I think Mark was talking to Jasmine about January 6th and videos that still haven't been released. Well, honestly, why hasn't every video been released? We own them. And Mark was going to say something about aerial videos that I'm probably not familiar with. But it will surface again, Mark, and we will get to it. I'll put my ear to the ground later today. So we got, a lot of things going on today, and I want to hit on a couple of Virginia things before we get into the yesterday Super Tuesday news and Joe Biden sweeping except American Samoa, where I want to hang out with the 91 people that voted there. They sound like fun. And, of course, Nikki Haley won in Vermont, a state where any radical left-wing Bernie Sanders voting Bolshevik can walk into the polling place, ask for the Republican ballot, and vote for Nikki Haley. I don't think those open primaries are a good idea. Some people think they're a good idea. I don't think same-day registration is the greatest idea in the world, but we can have a discussion about it. The Democrats know that there are myriad ways to monkey wrench the system and to corrupt our entire political system, and they're in favor of all of those methods because they're leftists. They're not liberals. They're not pro-American. They're bomb throwers, and they glue themselves to highways because of the weather. They're, a lot of them, very unwell. Very unwell. I was writing a little screenplay in my head this morning called There Was a Crooked Judge. I'll call it There Was a Crooked Judge. And it could be about a lot of different Democrat Party judges. It could be the Supreme Court. Does Ketanji Brown, does she know what a woman is yet? I don't think she does. But I was thinking about the, Engoron, Judge Arthur Engoron in New York, saying that Mar-a-Lago is worth $18 million and then trying to jail somebody for overvaluing his properties. That's a crooked judge. And I think I could pull together a good screenplay about this crooked judge. And I like the title, just, there was a crooked man. There was a crooked judge. And that's where the whole system, our entire judicial system, comes apart if you do what the Democrats do and have done and get crooked left-wing radicals that went to law school who want to blow up the system and put them in key positions, as the Democrats so frequently do, right? And Engoron is one example, and there are a great many examples. You got a crooked prosecutor and Fani Willis and her boyfriend, who probably got drawn into this thing by the crooked girlfriend, Fani Willis. But there was a crooked judge, and I think that it could be a TV series, actually. It doesn't even have to just be one movie. But I think we could start with New York and Judge Arthur Engoron, and accusing Donald Trump of overvaluing his properties while absurdly undervaluing Donald Trump's properties, the judge did. He's crooked. He's a crooked judge. Got crooked Hillary, got crooked Joe Biden, got crooked Judge Engoron. The left loves crooked. They really love crooked. And with that, I want to tell a couple of stories out of Virginia. Two stories that may not seem related, but I think that they actually are related. And one of them has to do with a crooked George Soros person who is a radical left-wing extremist who loves Venezuelan gangs released from prison, kidnapping women at knife point and sexually assaulting them, which happened. We've got a little thing on that today, too, because MSDNC laughing. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, there's a crime wave of illegal aliens. I live in Virginia, and I'll get to that. And there's nothing to see there. Yeah, and assuming you don't count the crimes committed by illegal aliens in Virginia, which at MSNBC they don't, of course. Ex-prosecutor Buta Biberaj. I like to call her Buta, B-U-T-A, Biberaj, B-I-B-E-R-A-J, Buta Biberaj. And she's allegedly from the Bronx, New York. But this is a pretty incredible story. She is a George Soros. Why is George Soros, foreign, Hungarian, anti-American, radical left billionaire, funding prosecutors' races in Loudoun County, Virginia? Well, because he's here to destroy, right? And just amazing stuff. And she got all of her fundraising out of New York City, and she ran on not incarcerating anyone because they like criminals. The left, their sons. The problem is not our guns, it's your sons, right? Prosecutor who fought to jail dad, you may remember this, Buta Biberaj, tried to put the father in prison for years, who was at the school board meeting and beaten up by the cops there because he was upset and he spoke up about his daughter being raped by a transgender psychopath that Democrat Party psychopaths put in the school with his daughter. And it's a boy, a young man pretending to be a girl. Oh, you should definitely use the girls' room, right? And these psychopaths set up the circumstances where this nice man was outraged by the fact that his daughter was sexually assaulted. And he went to the school board meeting. And of course, then after his daughter was sexually assaulted, the school board moved the transgender rapist to another school where he assaulted another young woman, sexually assaulted another young woman. I think that was also in another ladies' room, wasn't it? Because Buta Biberaj is not on the side of law and order. She's, I think I might term her a psychopath who is pro-crime and pro-criminal. and all that. A top Virginia prosecutor sought jail time for the dad who was arrested at a school board meeting while protesting his daughter's rape, despite having run on a George Soros-funded campaign against mass incarcerations, according to reports. The Bronx-based Loudoun County Commonwealth attorney Buta Biberaj personally prosecuted dad Scott Smith, 48 years old, after he was arrested at a raucous June 22nd public meeting in Loudoun County. This is that woman, all right? And she's not on the side of law and order or of justice at all. Well, we've got an update on her because another crazy story popped. The historic Loudoun County portraits, photos of Commonwealth attorneys reported, quote, missing, end quote. Well, it turns out Channel 7, the ABC News local station, Washington, D.C., 7 News has learned that portraits and photos of Loudoun County's former Commonwealth attorneys are missing. They were last seen when former Commonwealth attorney Buta Biberaj was in office. Oh no, what did she do? Did she tear down the statues and tear down the portraits and destroy them? The portraits and photographs of the previous Commonwealth attorneys, the history of the county and the state of Virginia, are part of Loudoun County history. The county needs to have them back so that they can be appropriately preserved, current Loudoun County Commonwealth attorney Bob Anderson told 7 News. The missing portraits go back to the 1800s. These are American history, and guess who did what? So the portraits, the missing portraits go back to the 1800s. There are no backup copies of many of them, according to multiple sources. In an email obtained by 7 News, Loudoun County Administrator Tim Hemstreet wrote on March 5th, 2024, that the county was contacted by both County Attorney Anderson and the clerk for the county, Gary Clements, January 4th of 2024, asking whether the county was in possession of framed photographs of former Commonwealth attorneys. Well, and they say, it's our understanding that photographs have been displayed in a foyer lobby area of the previous office. As part of the inquiry, Mr. Anderson said, Mr. Clements, the county was advised that Mr. Anderson's staff briefed that the photographs had been mistakenly sent to the county. The original inquiry included a supposition that the photos were inadvertently provided to the county surplus team for sale at one of the future surplus auctions. Now, the thing is, this gets weirder because there was a box, and they found that these boxes, the photos, she boxed up, the Soros radical boxed up, Buddha did. One box of photos and all the other wall decorations were sent out for disposal, you see. And records reflect that the box with all the photos and the other items were picked up by a state agency on February 10th, 2023, and disposed of shortly thereafter. Because you got a radical and the Department of General Services in the state, the Commonwealth, were asked if they recall anything about this box. Almost a year had passed in the meantime. And the Department of Government Services staff advised that the photographs that were framed, the photographs were removed and destroyed. And the frames were processed for auction because a radical leftist, George Soros, America-hating, history-hating extremist should probably be arrested for destruction of valued public property. She should be in leg shackles. If she tries to flee the country, she should have her passport seized, I think. There was an engraved plaque from the City of Falls Church to the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. Department of Government Services set aside and returned to that office one plaque. But she had all this stuff destroyed because she's a psycho leftist, and that's what leftists do. So the county records reflect that the documents requesting Department of Government Services to pick up and dispose of the box of photos and other wall decorations had appropriate approvals from the Office of the Commonwealth Attorney. So the Commonwealth Attorney approved the destruction, and who's that? That's the George Soros radical. The county does not have any documentation that indicates that the photographs in the box were of previous Commonwealth attorneys. Yeah, but why would they? Because she had everything destroyed. So that's your George Soros leftist. They hate history. They tear down statues. They're not on the side of anything good. Now, still in the Commonwealth of Virginia, another crazy story. The University of Virginia spends $20 million a year on 235 DEI employees, with some making $587,340 per year. Isn't that amazing? Open Books, or Open the Books, it's called, on Substack, with the story and not the Washington Post, because, the Washington Post is not a newspaper. It's a gang of sexually perverted bootlicks for the Democrat Party. Kevin G. McDonald, the VP for DEI, so many abbreviations, the Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Community Partnerships. He's number 2. He makes $401,465 in pay, but with benefits, he makes $521,905. Now, again, they've got 235 DEI employees at the University of Virginia, and they spend $20 million a year on their diversity, equity, and inclusion staff. Martin N. Davidson, Senior Associate Dean and Global Chief Diversity Officer. Really, is UVA a global organization? Is that, and he's the global, and he makes $587,340 a year. And, there are 235 people in the department, so he probably doesn't have to do all that much, I'm thinking. And they have the list of all the people's names, their job titles, and their salaries, their straight up pay, and then what they're making with benefits included. University of Virginia has at least 235 employees under its diversity, equity, and inclusion banner, including 82 students whose total cost of employment is estimated at $20 million. That's $15 million in cash compensation, plus an additional 30%, another $5 million. The annual cost of their benefits. And what are they doing there at the university founded by Thomas Jefferson? Well, they're DEI. This is the left. This is the gravy train that the left has fabricated. And by the way, the Democrat Party is the party of bullwhips and lynching trees, just by the way. And they'll all identify as Democrats. And they know nothing about history because, like Buddha, they destroy history. And, this is pretty amazing stuff. Remember in Charlottesville, where they, President Trump, there are good people on both sides. I'm sure there are good people on both sides. Because some wanted to leave historic statues up in parks, and Democrats wanted to tear them down like the Taliban that they are. Pretty amazing stuff. So this is the left. This is your Democrat Party here. It was also noted in this piece, wisely, smartly, that in Florida very recently, they actually just did away with this DEI stuff, saving the university $5 million, I believe, because they had not so many of the crazy people. Last Friday, the University of Florida dismissed their DEI bureaucracy, saving students and taxpayers $5 million a year. The university terminated 13 full-time DEI positions and 15 administrative faculty appointments. $5 million. This is what happens when the left is in charge. And what are they doing in the name of diversity and equity and inclusion? Well, they're hiring their friends for hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Martin N. Davidson, Senior Associate Dean, Chief Global Diversity Officer, $587,340 a year. Can't imagine it's a very busy job. But since he's the chief of global diversity, I'm sure he travels a lot. First class, stays at the Four Seasons. Someone ought to look into that. More gravy. Your Democrat Party. This is an election year. So this George Soros, Virginia radical, destroying the photographs and removing all the plaques and the history and destroying the history of the Commonwealth of Virginia. She She was given a thimbleful of power and she abused it to destroy. You may remember Nancy Pelosi took down portraits and paintings from all over the Capitol. They were all Democrats, every single one of them. She took them down because they were racists, like Joe Biden. And the Democrats tearing down statues all over the place, and I'm sure there are good people on both sides, all about the Democrats tearing down statues and everything. And my friend Vince Colonnese sent this quote: "Every record has been destroyed or falsified, every book rewritten, every picture has been repainted, every statue and street building has been renamed, every date has been altered, and the process is continuing day by day, minute by minute. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party is always right." And it reminded me of the Democrats renamed Lee Highway in Virginia, and they renamed it Langston, for the first African-American from Virginia to be elected to Congress, John Langston. But, honestly, it should be Hiram Revels, the first African-American to serve in Congress at all. That'd be better. But this is George Orwell from 1984. And the Democrats are tearing down statues and taking down portraits and destroying photographs. They're destroying our history because they are not on our side. They're against us. Not good people, bad people. And Hiram Revels, by the way, a Republican, the first to serve in the Senate, and for that matter, John Langston, a Republican too, the first African-American elected from Virginia. Remarkable stuff. But the Democrats are tearing down our history, destroying our history. From the George Soros radicals to Nancy Pelosi, to the mobs in Charlottesville tearing down statues. I'm not sure there are good people on both sides. Let me just say that. These are not good people. These are not people that are on our side. They are our Taliban.